London, the love of my life, is but a 50 minutes train ride away. Its allure and ease of access is a constant struggle to resist, meaning I sometimes neglect other towns, so I make conscious efforts to travel elsewhere. I also find travelling tedious, and the thought of more than 2 hours train time can sway me from longer trips. But having visited Newcastle, a favourite destination, in February, and finding the journey not too unpleasant, I rashly booked tickets for a day trip to Edinburgh, thinking the 7+ hours return journey would pass the same way. As the trip drew closer, I wondered what on earth I was thinking. All that travelling to ponce about in an art gallery for a few hours in a city I've never warmed to. I must be simple. I've spent a few nights in Edinburgh, and also time waiting for connections to and from God's own city, Glasgow, and Edinburgh has always been spoilt by tourists and the amount of English accents, giving it a surface of a holiday resort devoid of soul. This is unfair, and is my fault for not penetrating Edinburgh's superficiality, but it was with trepidation I boarded the train stocked with coat, scarf and hat, and left a cold south for what I assumed would be an even colder north. The train journey surprised by one passenger on our table of 4 offering us 3 complete strangers sweets. Isn't he aware of British train travel etiquette? You tut and scowl at your fellow passenger, not extend them kindness. Leaving Waverley Station, not an easy task, it's a labyrinth. I walked into beautiful sunshine. Goodness, I've never seen sunshine in Edinburgh. First, and only destination really, was the Scottish National Gallery of Modern Art. I'd been foolish on a previous Edinburgh visit and entered the National Gallery and National Portrait Gallery, both as awful as their London cousins. I wasn't going to make those mistakes again, despite the Falkirk genius advising me to take the free bus from the Modern to the Portrait Gallery. Hello, Andrew. I don't mind getting lost because you stumble upon interesting architecture like Well Court. Commissioned in the 1880s by Scotsman newspaper owner John Findlay, Well Court's purpose was housing for Dean Village workers. In 2007, refurbishment funded by Edinburgh World Heritage and the building owners began, resulting in work sympathetic to the structure's origin. Back en route to the Modern, I passed Dean Cemetery. I like cemeteries and intended returning for a wander later in the day, but ran out of time. Opposite Dean Cemetery is the striking Stuart's Melville College. I asked 3 teenage pupils attired in a style straight out of Smash Hits magazine in the 1980s if they still utilised all the school buildings as classrooms, and was informed they did. What an interesting place in which to be schooled. Is there an 80s revival in Edinburgh? I saw quite a few people who could have passed for Teardrop Explode's band members. Thankfully no one had adopted the tight curly perm of the period, but Tony Hadley flicks abounded. The Scottish Gallery of Modern Art consists of 2 venues, Modern 1 and Modern 2, situated in pleasant grounds intersected by Belford Road. The grounds also house a sculpture park that, like most UK sculpture parks it seems, is unfortunately blighted by an Anthony Gormley sculpture. Modern 1, formerly the John Watson's Institution, was designed by William Byrne in 1825. And Modern 2 served as the Dean Orphan Hospital after being designed by Thomas Hamilton and built in 1833. Entrance to both venues is free, with charges for special exhibitions. A New Era, Scottish Modern Art 1900 to 1950 was the paid exhibition at Modern 2 for my May 2018 visit, with a ticket charge of £10. Modern 1's major exhibition was entitled Now, and there was no entrance fee. While in Modern 1 I dropped my camera. Well, it fell off my wrist strap. I refuse to wear a neck strap as I'm not a photographer and I don't play one. I hope the drop might improve its autofocus, but no, it's still rubbish. From the Modern I ambled back into town for lunch, and while traversing Belford Road was struck by what I think is the rear of Rothesay Terrace. Look at those cool bays. Lunch over, heading towards the river, the attics above 28 Moray Place added interest to a structure that didn't really require Doric columns. This Category A listed stretch of Moray Place from 19 to 36A was designed by James Gillespie Graham in 1822. I'm enamoured by bridges and stairs, and Edinburgh is short of neither. Most people pay attention to St Bernard's Well Roman-style temple, but the T-plan stairs with landings of the monument pleased my eyes. A little further along the Water of Leith walk is the impressively arched Dean Bridge by Thomas Telford. Who doesn't appreciate a sunlit mews? Apart from the idiot Team Sky believers, but they're beyond help anyway. The wooden doors of each Belford Mews property indicate their original use as workshops, and above number 7B Sunbury Street can still be seen the company name D.B. Johnson Motor Engineer. But as usual, I'm wrong. The doors of this late 19th century red sandstone terrace were designed for stables and tack rooms, etc. If houses as relatively modest as these stabled horses, the equine population of Edinburgh at that time must have been huge. There's nothing modest about the prices of these houses now, however. Belford Mews and the rear of Rothesay Terrace were worth the long train ride on their own. A phone call distracted me, and conversation over, I found myself walking Ravelsome Dykes, incredulous at house after house of Pebble Dash, Render and Mock Tudor. Pebble Dash isn't a design, it's a disease. Render conceals the beauty of brick and stone, and genuine Tudor is ugly enough, but Mock Tudor is wrong. Bewildered by the ugliness, I forgot to take photos. Just take a stroll along there to see what I mean. Turning left onto Murrayfield Road, Murrayfield Stadium was reached. I didn't get too close, hoping the Water of Leith would form natural protection from me ingesting any of the PEDs Tarquin informs me rugby players take to gain their ridiculous size and speed. Heading back to town on the A8, at Westcotes, the former Donaldson School and Children's Hospital was encountered, and surprise surprise, it's being converted to flats. Who would have guessed it, yet more flats beyond the reach of those most in need of housing. Never mind, there's lots of pavement space on Ravelsome Dykes to lay a sleeping bag for the disadvantaged. Back at Waverley Station, buying a sandwich and a bottle of water from Boots for the journey home, I attempted to pay, but was thwarted by the girl at the till. "If you buy a snack, you will save £1 with a meal deal." "It doesn't matter, thank you." "You get a snack and you save £1." "I don't really eat snacks, thank you, it's fine." "No, you must buy a snack, it will save you £1. Here, add these Mentos." "OK, thank you very much." Goodness, what an awful accent, many apologies. She wasn't a Geordie. The girl was lovely and typified my interactions with everybody on that day. Sorry I don't recall your name, but if you were a brunette working in Boots Waverley Station on May the 16th, 2018 around 5:30 PM, thank you. You're a splendid human being. A Wonderful Day in Edinburgh has won me over, and I can't recommend it enough, but there are still too many tourists, still too many English accents, and perhaps its greatest crime, it's not Glasgow.